Welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. I'm excited to be with you today. We have so many things that have been going on, and I hope you're having an amazing day. I want to start you out with the Daily Mastermind mobile app quote of the day. So if you haven't downloaded the mobile app, I'd encourage you to do that. Troy's been filling that with quotes and some great 4K pics, and so those are things you can share on social media as well. The quote of the day today is by Grant Fraser, and it says, "Life is full of obstacle illusions." Let me say that again so you can catch it. Life is full of obstacle illusions. I love that because that's exactly what life is full of. Today I wanted to share a thought with you. I know we do that every day, but I was listening to a great podcast today. I listen to Ed Milet's podcast on occasion, and I was listening to him interview one of the CEO of Netflix, who was a co-founder of Netflix. And he was talking about some things that I started scribbling down notes furiously. And I thought, man, I got to share some of those ideas and those thoughts with you because I think it's so important that when you learn things that not only you learn them, but you teach them. And on top of teaching them, you also really internalize them into your life. And so as I was listening to this interview with Marc Randolph, who is the CEO of Netflix. And by the way, Netflix has now 200 million global subscribers. 200 million subscribers. And they're over a $250 billion valuation. So these guys know what's going on. Obviously, there's probably nobody listening to this that doesn't either subscribe or use Netflix for sure. But there were some big takeaways I had, and I loved his perspective, so I'd encourage you to maybe check him out. He talked about various ideas I wrote down, like changing your paradigm. For example, people used to always ask him, what do you think? Do you think, Blockbuster versus Netflix? Did Blockbuster really miss out on the opportunity, and did they just miss it? Did they miss it, or did they make bad decisions? And I really liked Mark's response because he said, no, I think they knew exactly what was happening. And he said, and I thought this was great, but they lacked the courage to take action. They lacked the courage to take action. And I thought that was huge because so many of us lack courage, even though we know what answers we need to take and steps we need to take in our life. And when he said they lacked courage, it totally makes sense because as a big company, they would literally hurt their current store business by trying to move online. They might hurt their vendors. They might, upset Hollywood or whatever it is. And because of that, they lacked the courage to take action. And that really brought me to the second thought that really hit hard for me. And that is, as an entrepreneur, that gives you a big advantage. We all know that it's the kid in his basement or somebody out of their garage that can now, with the power of social media and the internet, make a difference and literally overtake large companies. And that's for a couple of reasons. Number one, you're nimble and small. Sorry, not slow, small and nimble. But also sometimes, more of a risk taker, more willing to take risks. So this just is something that I think is important as far as a filter on your perspective in life, because you might be thinking, man, I don't have all the money a big company does. I don't have all the advantages and resources. But what you need to realize is that is an advantage. It's all how you look at things. It is an advantage to be an entrepreneur. And I think that's a great reminder for those of you that are small, that are saying, hey, it's just me. I don't have anybody helping me. Hey, that's when you can take risks. That's when you can really push things to the next level. But the key thought I want you to not lose here is be willing to take and have courage to take action. Another thought I wrote down is, Ed had talked to Mark and said, how do you deal with failure? Because most people that are successful have had to have failures, and how they deal with failure is an important thing that you can learn. And when he asked this question, I thought, and I've never heard a response like this, I really enjoyed this about him. He said, I don't look at it as failure. He says, that question has always really eluded me, and that question has never really made sense to me because I don't view things as overcoming failures. We always talk about on this podcast and others, fail 5 times faster and look at failures as learning. He says, no, you have to change everything, your perspective on failure. And he went on to say, the problem with most entrepreneurs is they fall in love with ideas, and ideas don't count for anything. How many of us have had this great idea and we just knew we wanted to take it to the marketplace? We had this great idea we wanted to make happen. He says, I don't fall in love with ideas. You have never found a super successful company that has become successful because of their idea. Because the ideas always take a path that's windy and up and down, whether it's Facebook, Google, any of these. None of them were able to predict where things were going to go. It wasn't their ideas. It was their willingness and ability to take action and move past their ideas. So he made a really interesting point, and this is a thought I want you to consider. Consider, rather than falling in love with the process, or rather than falling or changing your perspective to deal with failures, fall in love with the problem. Because when you fall in love with the problem, the ideas just become ways for trial and error to create a solution. A great example of this is like Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison never talked about 1,000 failures to create a light bulb. He talked about 1,000 ways it didn't work. And so much like Marc did here from Netlflix, he says, I really like to not focus as how am I to overcome failure. He says, I'd like to focus on the problem I'm trying and get obsessed and fall in love with the problem I'm trying to create a solution for. And then the things that you do are just trial and error along the way. And so that's a great point if you really think about it. And I'll just hammer it home with ideas don't count for anything. Ideas don't count for anything. And then the other thing he said is the key to success, and this is a common message, but this is one I want to end today with, is the key is to just break down and do it. Break down and do it. Whatever your idea is. So this follows up that thought he just had and I just talked about, which is just test ideas as quick and as fast, as hard as and economically sound as you can, because it's like many people say, fail 5 times faster, fail your way to success. Get through these trial and errors, because that's what's going to help you to create the success that you're looking for. Don't let your vision of the idea you have or the vision of what you want to create paralyze you from taking action and blind you from being willing to be open to whatever path that you need to take. So those are just a couple of key thoughts. I really hope that you'll maybe check out that podcast, but I hope those are things that might help you. You need to think real hard about how you can change your paradigm on taking action. Make sure that you realize and recognize that there are advantages of being a small entrepreneur over big business. Don't look at what you don't have. Look at what you do have. This nimble ability to take action and have courage. And then also, rather than looking at how to deal and overcome failure, fall in love with the problem. Fall in love with the process. Because the ideas, and by the way, don't get too attached to any one idea, because that's going to be the death of your progress. So those are my thoughts for today. I'd like to encourage you to hit me up on the Daily Mastermind Instagram or Facebook and send me some feedback. Let me know what it is that I can help you with. What is it that I can do the most for you to help you make changes and really go to the next level? Because I would love to get you some contacts, go through some interviews, get you some resources, and we can do it right here on this podcast. So I hope that's a message that'll help you. I hope it's something that inspires you to take action, and I look forward to talking with you more tomorrow. Have an amazing day.